guys, Zacharias here doing a DayZ tutorial on the inventory system. I had a couple friends of mine and a few viewers asked me to do one of these, and so here it is. This is going to be for the beginners out there, the people who really haven't played DayZ at all ever before and are a little perplexed by the user interface. Hopefully this will save you a little aggravation over the first few hours of your gameplay. And anyway, let's get into it. So to access your inventory, you just press tab and you press tab again to get rid of it. So let's take a look here. Let's open it up. I'll explain each of these boxes here. We have the vicinity, which is anything that you can pick up that's in your immediate area, probably about 1 meter radius from you. The player window, that's you and how you're dressed and what you're carrying, that's visible. And then over here, the most important part of the player window is going to be these little health bars that pop up and tell you, for example, thirsty, hungry, bleeding, poisoned, diseased, anything like that. So these are going to be health related messages, and at this point this is yellow, and it basically means just giving you a heads up, a cautionary message. It's not critical. If it was critical, it'd be red, and that means that you better take care of it real quick, otherwise you're going to start losing some health. So you don't have to just look in there to see what you're having problems with. Down at the bottom left there, we just had a message disappear that said, "I feel thirsty." So as you're running around here, you just keep an eye out on the bottom left, and you'll see messages appear occasionally saying, my stomach's grumbling, I feel thirsty, I have a headache, and that would be severe dehydration if you have a headache, but hopefully it doesn't get to that point. And if you happen to be hit by a zombie, it'll say something like, "I can feel blood dripping, and my clothes feel warm with blood," etc., etc. So just keep an eye on these, and this message will disappear once you get above right around 20% rehydrated. So once you're 20% rehydrated, that message will disappear. It doesn't mean that when that message isn't there and you're not getting messages down here in the bottom left that you're fully hydrated. It just means that you're no longer in a sort of the yellow zone. Think of it sort of like a warning light on a car for fuel. It'll come on, and you can fill the car partially way up to, say, a quarter of the way up. It doesn't mean that it's full. It just means that you put in enough to get rid of that warning light. So it's the same way here. If you want to get rid of your thirst or fully replenish your hydration level, what you want to do is you want to keep drinking until you receive a message down here in the bottom left that says, I feel full, I feel stuffed, my stomach is full, or something to that effect. So down here at the bottom left again, you can see I feel like having a drink. So the next window here is your inventory window, and this shows everything, all your belongings that you're carrying around with you. If you want to see what an item is, for example, this green thing, you just mouse hover over it, wait for a second, it'll tell you it's a t-shirt green, pristine condition, and then it'll give you a little short description about what it is. You can do this with almost every item that you come across. And so the jeans, flashlight. Sometimes these short descriptions actually give you a little clues as to what the items can be used for. And in this case, if you look halfway down on the battery description, it says licking both contacts will tell you if it still carries a charge and possibly give you a slight energy boost. Okay, so let's go ahead and try that. So we want to right click on that, and let's give it an old lick here. It sounds like we're eating the damn thing, but we're just testing it. And then at the bottom right, or bottom left, I'm sorry, you're going to see a message say the battery feels pretty fully charged, so we know it's a good battery. So let's go ahead and put that in our flashlight. Just left click, drag it over, and when the box turns orange, it means those two items can interact. If it turned red, it would mean that they couldn't do anything, or if it was a light blue, it would just mean that they're going to swap spaces. In this case, we get an orange option. So that gives us the option here, just released it on it. Attach the alkaline battery to the flashlight, or swap the battery in the flashlight. If we did swap, it would just switch inventory spots. So let's go ahead and attach it. There we go. Now we have a flashlight that we can actually use. So let's pull this down here into our hands. If we want to use it, this is the hands window. This is what you're holding in your hands. So as you can see, when we were testing the flashlight, or the battery, it actually brought it down here briefly while it was being tested. So here's our flashlight, and it shows whatever else is installed in it. So if you want to take the battery out, you can just take it out, put it here, okay? Or you can drop it back in there, or drop it directly back in there. So there we go. All right. Now, if we want to use the flashlight, you can see that we have it in the low ready here. You can press F to use whatever is in your hands. Doesn't mean flashlight, it just means use whatever's in your hands. And then F again, we get that little option up there at the upper left saying turn on. And it's basically asking for confirmation for that option. So let's hit F again there. and the flashlight is on. If it were nighttime, we'd be able to see. And then if you wanted to aim it in front of you, you would take it from the low ready, using the space bar, bring it up into a ready position. So the beam would be going straight ahead rather than down and to the left. Hit space again to go back to low ready, and then to turn the flashlight off, you can either mouse wheel and then middle mouse button, or hit that F key. So we're just going to turn that off, hit the tab. Now we want to get it out of our hands, you just hit this red X and it'll stow it away for you. Alright, so putting that battery in there does two things. One, it allows us to actually use the flashlight, and two, it freed up an inventory spot. Now you can tell how many inventory spots you have in a particular piece of clothing or a book bag or storage unit by just looking up here to the upper right, and it'll tell you that last number there is a 4. That means there's 4 small item inventory slots available inside of that item. So the jeans have 4 slots, and the first number indicates how many slots are currently being used. So 1 of 4 is being used. The other way to tell is obviously by just looking below and seeing the graphic representation of the inventory slots. So right here we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1's being used. Alright, the next thing that you should do, and you should do this right at the start as soon as you spawn in, is take your t-shirt off, drop it down here. Now this takes up 2 slots, and you could see that it was a little bigger. It wasn't just a square, it was actually bigger. Let's take that back up there. Now if we were using our flashlight, you see how it's one single square. Okay, that indicates 1 inventory spot. Now this one is actually 2 because it's a rectangle, so we can put it down here. Now here's the issue. Let me take the battery out here for demonstration purposes. We have 2 spots available here. We know that that t-shirt takes up 2 spots. If we have them vertical like this and we try to put it in here, it will not work. It doesn't fit. You actually have to kind of pack your items and make sure that they actually fit. So think of it as like a little puzzle. Match the shapes. But if we put this up here, bring this down, it matches because we have 2 horizontal squares, which equals that shape of a rectangle. Now occasionally, like say a screwdriver, if you pick that up, it requires 2 also, but it's vertical. So if we want to put a screwdriver in there, we'd have to have it set up like this. Let's put our battery back in here. There we go. Alright, so what you want to do with your t-shirt, like I was saying, the first thing you should do is pull it down here off your body, right click on it, and tear it into rags. Get rid of that t-shirt. You don't need it. It ain't doing you no good anyway. Tear it into rags. And the reason why we want to tear it into rags is it gives you 2 rags, which are improvised bandages. So if you start bleeding, you get hit by a zombie while you're out here looting, and you don't have any weapons or anything like that, and you don't have any bandages that you found, and they are a little bit rare unless you go to a hospital, you can right click on these and you can click use. You don't have to bring it down to your hands, you just have to click use and it'll patch you up. So if you wait until you are bleeding and you have that shirt on still, your shirt could get bloody, it could get drenched in blood, and then it will not let you make bandages out of a blood drenched shirt. So do it before you have contact with any zombies. Alright. Oh, one more thing here. If you wanted to separate these for some reason, just split rags, and it'll put them in 2 different spots. It doesn't mean actually physically split them, it just means separate the 2 that you have. If you want to put them back together and stack them, which is always good for inventory purposes, just drag it back up there. It's orange, it lets you combine them. So alright, let's go find some inventory. There's a zombie. Oh, she saw me. Alright, I'm going to lose this crazy zombie, and we're going to go find some inventory to loot. I'll show you how that goes.